everybody. Welcome to the Tearing It Up podcast. Hopefully this audio comes across clear for you guys, because I am in a big empty hospitality room at Seattle on the Laguna Seca. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know, Raceway. In a hospitality room with my wonderful guest, Annijke. I'm really excited to have her on. I met you briefly, I think last year here, or there might have been somewhere else too. Anyways, hard to keep track of them all. But I've been wanting to have you on the podcast for a while, so I was stoked it worked out that I did make it to Seattle. We get to do it in person, and they set up this hospitality room for us to record live podcasts here for the first time this year at Seattle. And it's pretty barren. Luckily, I have all my equipment with me. But it's cool that we have a space instead of having to do it out in the wild, in the expo or anything, which you guys have, if you've listened for a while, I've done plenty in the wild, but it can be a little crazy. But anyways, back to my guest here, Annijke.
Oh.
You are an athlete, a mountain biker, professional mountain biker. And I want to dive into your story. You're an adaptive professional mountain biker. I don't know, is that the title you prefer, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think, for me, I identify as like an adaptive mountain biker and then a para off-road cyclist, but I more identify with like adaptive, just, I don't know. It's the term.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both great. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's get into your story and just kind of where cycling came into your life and where that turned into, becoming professional, all of the things. Tell us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started recreating in the outdoors like at a pretty, younger age. And I had always like ridden bikes outdoors, not like on trails, but just as a kid. I moved to Portland to go to college. I started using bikes like more for fun. Like we would go on like 20-mile bike rides around the city. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then, graduated from college, kept my bike, but I didn't really like keep up with like the habit of biking. And then I moved to San Francisco like many, many years later. I bought a road bike. That was terrifying. I've never like ridden a road bike. I was just like, I wanted to find this like beautiful road bike. I wanted to have like, I wanted green pedals. Like I was like more about the accessories of the bike, like
the aesthetic. What's it look like?
And then I got the bike and I had never ridden a road bike and I was like, oh, drop bars. This is wild. Like I don't know what I was thinking. So I was like, okay, maybe this is not for me. But after San Francisco, I moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and there are so many trails in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I mean, it's a hub for like outdoor sports. You have like skiing and hiking and mountain biking and rafting, just like everything there.
Which is so wild to me to think about in like New Mexico, because just in my head being a like Pacific Northwest and then over here to Tahoe, and just mountainous west, thinking of some like New Mexico having all the things, I just forget that it does. Like I know there's ski resorts down there, but it's you don't think about it. So that's really cool that it, has all of those things.
Has everything. Yeah. From my house in Santa Fe was like 20 minutes to the ski hill.
Wow.
Which is like incredible.
Yeah.
I'm probably like spoiling it. Everyone's like, tell everyone about it. No, I mean, it's
You're
like
canceled.
Right. No, it was incredible. And then I lived like just a few minutes from mountain bike trails too. And so I got an email. It was sent to like our whole office, and somebody was like, hey, we're starting up a mountain bike club. We're going to like have our first ride in this state. And I was like, mountain biking? What? I was like, hold on.
This is, after college, right?
This is
so
after
early 20s.
No, this is like in my 30s. This was like, this is like more recent history,
Okay, I love that. Sorry to keep interrupting.
Yeah.
But just so for our audience, a lot of folks are from like 28 into mid 40s and whatnot. And I think it's just always a great reminder when we have people like you who have made a career, profession out of something like this, a sport. but you didn't even start really getting
Yeah.
into it until your early 30s. It's
Yep.
like such a reminder of, again, that age not being something that stops, not letting it be a barrier of
Totally.
accessibility, right? So I did not know that. So really cool. And I'm
Yeah.
like, holy shit, for
Yeah.
real? That's awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
so
So
anyways,
yeah, somebody emailed, they're like, we're starting a mountain bike club. And I was like, mountain biking. And I like Googled it and I was like, oh, this is like actually really cool. Like because I've been looking for, like, I love hiking, but I was kind of getting a little bored. I was like, I
mhm.
need a little
Yeah.
adrenaline, like something else. And so, yeah, I was like, okay. So I went online and I bought a bike and it arrived. And I like got, like a helmet and like a hydration pack, like a mountain bike one or
Mhm.
whatever. And the bike arrived. I put it together. I went on my first ride, which was like, it was probably like 3 miles and like maybe 100 feet of climbing. But I was like, oh my God. I was like, woo, this is going to be hard.
This is an adventure.
This
Yeah.
is going to be really, I'm supposed to go on this group ride, like with these like fast people. I was like, oh, okay. So, the day of the ride arrived, I was at like the wrong trailhead and which is fine because honestly, I was like pretty anxious about like riding with these people. And,
Mhm.
so, but then I was like already hooked at that point. Like I just started going every single day, every single morning before work. And then, I got a gravel bike, like, a couple months after
Getting
that,
fully into the
full
all
in.
off
Yeah,
road.
I was just like done,
Yeah.
like, and it became like my whole personality. And I was like, on the weekends, because I, still had just moved to Santa Fe. So on the weekends, I would like go explore different parts of New Mexico or Colorado and like take my bike. And so that it, I mean, it happened like really quickly. Like I just got obsessed and I loved it because I was able to see like the landscape in a different way and like interface with it in a different way and like flow with it. And
Oh, I
I
love that. Like flow
yeah,
with it. Like really you do on with biking because
yeah,
you are moving at such a faster pace that it's a different kind of connection with it than just walking,
yeah,
hiking. I feel like that I've never thought about. So
totally. I
you
mean, it's
like
like
worded
skiing
it
or
that way.
snowboarding,
Yeah,
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 yeah.
that's so true. That's so true.
Yeah. And so for me, I was like, oh, this is really cool. And yeah, I just got super obsessed. And then it was like the end of my first season and I was like, "Oh, I want to like go to a clinic or
Hmm.
something. Like I want to learn some skills." And I was still like too nervous to like ride with other people. Like, when you first start out, it's like it's super intimidating.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think I was like even worried about like what I was wearing or anything. Clearly I wasn't because I saw the pictures. I was like, "Oh, those are some weird outfits, but that's fine."
Interesting choice.
Right? Like, oh, I want to come back to that in a second. But I was like, I was more worried about like, what are people going to think? Am I going to be too slow? Am I too, I don't know, just like don't know
Hmm.
what I'm doing. But yeah, so I went to a clinic, Vita Mountain Biking Series, which was like a big women's clinic that took place in Colorado. It's now Adventure Birds.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've
Yeah.
had Kelly and Leanne on the
Yes.
podcast. Yeah.
Totally. And so when I got to the clinic and like started learning, I was like, that changed my life. I was like, okay, I was like, I want to become like a mountain bike coach. I want to like be around all of these because it was like the clinic was just run by like all these amazing women that were like in the outdoor space, like very supportive and also like really good riders,
Yeah.
but also really good humans. And
Yeah.
I was just like really inspired. I was like, okay, this is the path. I want to like race. I want to be a coach. Like whatever these women are doing, like
I'm gonna do
I
it.
want to do exactly that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things we talk about on the podcast often is really just like representation and being able to see somebody like you
Yeah.
doing the thing that makes you think of something that maybe you didn't think about before. And obviously, when you're just new, you like discovering a world you didn't really know exists, then you're gonna see that where it's like, oh, this may have been here for longer than I knew, but I wasn't exposed to that. So now I know it exists.
Right.
And I want to go that route. So seeing all those amazing women and then I'm sure being with other women in your position, like
Yeah.
the learning position is like just amazing to be connected with them too and realize how many other women are out there in that position too.
Yeah. Yeah. It was incredible. And that was the first weekend that I'd ever done like Black Trail. It was like, it's a trail in Durango. It's called Engineer Mountain. It's like a backcountry trail, and it's black because it's like a backcountry trail. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
you are going out
It's
there.
not like maintained on the regular
Totally.
basis.
And like, yeah, like rescue, like if somebody had to like go and rescue you, like it would be a
And
challenging
then,
rescue just
yeah.
because they'd have to like, ascend. And but yeah, it was like the first time I'd ever done a black trail. I was really challenged that weekend, like climbing. I have asthma, and so climbing is not fun.
Hmm.
And especially too when you're like around a lot of people, like that just stresses me out more.
Okay, absolutely same. Longtime listeners have heard me talk about this for years. I don't have like diagnosed asthma.
Hmm.
I've been given an inhaler to try, but it gets in my head a lot
Yeah.
about going out with people. Like to this day, especially as it's been an interesting journey the last few years, as it feels like it's gotten like worse. And it's like I feel like I'm going backwards. Like, wait,
Yeah.
there was a point when I first started that I didn't think about that because I didn't
Mhm.
know what exertion, would take or whatnot. It
Right.
was almost this like naive point of like I don't know what to expect, so I didn't have this fear. And then now I know what it can take to,
Mhm.
a 2 mile trail. It could still be like just straight up and
Yeah.
be so exhausting. So I definitely resonate with that feeling of the anxiety because you're just sitting there trying to worry about breathing. And then in turn, that makes your breathing worse
Yeah.
too because now your heart's like fucking pumping out of your
Yeah.
chest anyway. You're like, oh my God. Like it's a vicious
It
cycle.
is. It really is. And I was like, that ride like really pushed that. And, I was like super self-conscious about that. But so it was like there were a lot of things that happened there. It was like, yeah, realize I was like, oh gosh, like, having a lot of anxiety about that. And then the cool part was like I was like really slaying the downhill. So like that was like my big takeaway. I was like, okay, I can work on climbing, but I was like naturally good at the downhill. And I was like, that's what I was like, it might be worth it to have to climb if like I get to do that
Yeah.
going down. So yeah, I got like super hooked, went to that clinic, and then just tried to get more and more involved. And then eventually I became an ambassador for Vita Mountain Biking Series. And basically for that, you go and volunteer at the clinics, like weekend long clinics, and check people in and like hand them their swag bags, and like people get all stoked out. And then there's kind of like a pathway for you to become like an assistant coach to eventually a coach,
Hmm.
which is cool because you're like, okay, I have like little milestones that I can like, work towards. And so the first thing that happens is like somebody will be like, "Hey, do you want to just like give a little bit of feedback on like when somebody's like going and buying doing something?" You're like, "Oh my God, I don't have my coaching cert." Like,
Right.
And,
Getting that confidence
mhm,
to tell people what you do know, like
right.
share that
Yeah.
knowledge and feel like you do have the authority to say, this is how you do it,
Yeah.
which I'm sure can be, well, just hard to come into. I think a lot of us have experienced that of, especially as women, we come to this challenge more often of thinking we have to be so, so, so qualified to be able to give like the bare minimum,
Right.
right? You're
Yeah, yeah.
like you just said, I don't want my coaching certification. I can't tell you like level pedals,
Right, yeah.
one finger on the brake. And it's like, those are the first things you learn. Like you can absolutely
Yeah.
tell someone that who's at a clinic for like their first
Right.
time. And if they're doing the thing, not correct, they obviously just don't know.
Yeah.
But the mental battle to have the confidence to just say these things out loud is wild.
It is, yeah. But it was like such a inclusive and like supportive community, and it was like, okay. And then like eventually worked up, got my coaching certification, started, assistant coaching. And then that year, I think it was that year, or maybe the year before, I did one of their race programs because I was like, I want to race mountain bikes. Like, why not? And so I signed up for one of their programs and instantly got hooked with racing. So it was like, okay, now I want to race. I want to, be an assistant coach and like do all this stuff. And that year like was 2021 when I had just gotten my coaching certification.
Was
Yeah.
that through the coaching certification, like a governing like organization or
Mhm.
just through VentureBirds or Vita? What was the certification like?
Yeah, it's called PMBIA. There's like two different predominant certifications. It's now called like GSMBC. Global Mountain Bike Syndicate something. Yeah.
Okay, but it's just a larger governing kind of
Mhm.
agency
Yeah.
that a lot of the smaller organizations really use
Yeah.
to hire people on or something,
It's
or
like
like
PSIA or
for
yeah.
skiing,
Mhm.
right? Like liability purposes probably for these companies to.
Yeah, and also skills too. So it's like you learn like in the coaching certification, like you know, it's like they kind of set the levels for like riding, you know, it's like
Mhm.
level 1, level 2, and then like jumps in air, like however they break it down. And then in like a level 1 like workshop or course, you would cover like a certain number of skills.
Okay,
So
okay.
you're doing like you're learning how to brake, you're learning how to shift, you're learning how to I think some like bike body separation,
Right.
you know, it's there's
Yeah.
like and then like front wheel lifts, rear wheel lifts, and then there's like maybe something else. And then you learn in the coaching certification how to disseminate that information.
Right.
So you're like,
For
these
different people.
yeah, you're like, this is how you describe that skill.
Yeah.
You're like, the first thing you say is like, put your hand, you know, or whatever like
Yeah.
the prescription is. It's like, yeah. So yeah, that was like super cool. But that was the year I like signed up for all of these races. I was like, I had already done my first enduro race and I was like, I want to like go full in and I want to have like a real racing season. And so I had a coach and I was like training like a bunch and had all of these like races booked and was like traveling. I traveled out to California from Santa Fe, like had all of these things planned. And I was at Angel Fire Bike Park, which is like where I would go on the
That's
weekends.
in New Mexico.
That's in New
Okay, okay.
Mexico. It's like near Taos.
For some reason, I thought that was Utah. But
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
And I was just like out riding one morning and had a crash and instantly like fell from my bike. I don't really remember what happened. I know I was on like a jump line.
Mhm.
I think it was a step up. That's what somebody told me. But I lost control in some way, shape, or form and crashed and became instantly
Oh
paralyzed.
my god.
Yeah, so it was, like, a huge bummer. I mean, for, like, a lot of
Yeah.
reasons, you know what I mean? But you're like, "Oh, like, here I am." I have, like, my first, like, professional contract, like, Pearl Izumi was a paying sponsor for me, and I was, like had this whole race schedule and, like, advocacy stuff that I was doing, and just had got my coaching certification after, like, you know, a couple years of, like, getting really excited about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so things obviously shifted very quickly at that point. It
Yeah.
was like, um, you know, that immediate day was like the whole thing was just like, let's get you off the mountain into the hospital. So I had to like, you know, get taken down by bike patrol. Painful, like absolutely painful. I was like, can you be careful about the bumps?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was
At
excruciating pain.
when the accident happened,
Hmm.
like, did you instantly, like, lose feeling? Like, you were there, like, "I cannot touch, feel," or, like, move
Yeah.
my legs? I mean, like, what was going through your head at that moment to even stay calm enough to, like, get down the
Yeah.
mountain and have the wherewithal to even be, like, just aware of anything?
Yeah. I mean, so as soon as I crashed, I came to because like yeah, I hit my head and I don't really remember the crash, but like
Right.
the next thing I remember is I was lying on my stomach in the middle of the trail. And my first instinct was to like run my tongue over my teeth. I'm like, do I have all my teeth? Because I know it's like a challenge to get like, if you knock out a tooth, you're gonna have to get like a flipper and it's gonna take a long time. It's like I've had so many friends do that I was
Yeah.
like, that was like my first concern. And then I was like, okay, one of my teeth is like chipped. I was like, oh, there's some blood. And then I was like, oh. And it was just like once it hit me, I was like, oh yeah, like I couldn't feel anything from my chest down and it felt like just a void. You
Wow.
know, it's like when your foot is asleep,
Yep.
it felt like that,
Yeah.
you know? And it just kind of like felt like I was floating because
You couldn't
I
like,
couldn't feel it.
feel?
I had no proprioception around it because it was like just was instant.
That's
You
wild.
know, and then I was like in excruciating pain, and the person I was with, I was like, I can't get up. The person I was like, yeah, you can just try. I was like, no, like I literally cannot move, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like I had some awareness around spinal cord injuries, but not that much. Like
Right.
I didn't know until like 3 days after, like 2 days after my accident, like what had happened, you
Mhm.
know? I was just like, I think I just thought I probably like just broke a lot of bones and
Mhm.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And like that asleep feeling like, okay, it's going to come back, but like I've tweaked something enough that I got to stay still in the hospital for a few
Yeah,
days and it will all like work itself out
right.
kind of thing.
And I think too, like the pain was so high, I don't think I could think about anything else.
Yeah.
It was like I say like it's pain level
Oh
15.
my
Like it
God.
was the most intense thing I've ever
And
felt.
that was like in your back that you
Mhm.
felt
Yeah,
the
just like
pain?
radiate. Oh my god, just radiating out. And I so like the whole next couple hours, like everybody's, like when you're in an accident, they're trying to ask you questions like,
Yeah.
"Are you okay? Like, what's your name?" Like, and I was like, I cannot talk anymore. Like, I was like, I'm really trying to be nice, but like I'm in a lot of pain. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really don't want to yell at anybody, but
Ye
like you need to stop talking to me. Like,
Like, I'm awake, I'm aware, just please get me out of
right,
here
like
and let's manage this. I
yeah.
can't think.
And then finally when I got into the life flight, they finally gave me some drugs and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "This is the nicest helicopter ride I've ever been in." I mean, I've never been in
Yeah,
another one, but, I just remember being like, "Oh, this is so
we
great."
could do this more often.
Right, I was like it was, like, finally a sense of, like, relief,
Yeah.
because getting down from the mountain with that level of pain and just, like so, yeah, things, like, shifted really fast, in those moments when it's like sometimes you think about that, like, you're on a solo ride, and you're like,
Mhm.
"What would I do if it's like you don't wanna even go down that,
Yeah, but you
path.
can't help
You can't
it.
help,
And I mean, you should kind of have a level of
Yeah.
awareness, right? Of the risks when going out alone.
Mhm.
This is why I started gravel biking, honestly,
Yes.
because when I ride alone, I'm in my head so much about that. I'm not extreme whatsoever, but still, things happen
Yeah.
when, like, on the most easy things
Mhm.
sometimes, or just being complacent, whatever. I go down hard. I've had a lot of
Yeah.
concussions from silly things, so
Yep.
I just know that like yeah, it's a risk. And it does suck to get in your head too much about it. Like I said, you have to have some realness of the
Mhm.
risk that you're taking when you go out alone doing these
Oh,
activities.
totally. Yeah. I mean, yeah, everything was wild the next couple days. I woke up in the hospital. I mean, we went to the hospital and my mom was there like the next
I
day.
was wondering if
Yeah.
she was not you were living in New Mexico, like, alone,
Yeah,
or
she lived in
yeah,
California.
okay.
So she flew out and then yeah, it was like went into surgery the next day. And then it wasn't until my accident happened on Saturday and it wasn't until like Monday, I think at like 3 p.m. I think it was like Monday or Tuesday that the doctor came in because I kept asking. I was like, "Hey, like the surgery obviously didn't fix my leg.
Right, I still
Like,
can't feel
yeah." I was
things.
like, I don't know if this is like, do we need to like redo it? Like, like
Oh, yeah,
what's?"
well, yeah.
And I kept asking people. I was like, "Hey, like I'm still not able to feel my legs." I was like, "Does anybody know what's going on?" And like the nurses like started acting really weird. They're like,
Like, they know something
yeah, they're
and
like,
they're not telling you.
the doctor will be in at some point, and I was just like, oh God. And so then the doctor came in and like handed me like this pamphlet and I was like, oh God. And it was like spinal cord injury and then
Oh
like
my
pulled up
gosh.
all this stuff and
A
I haven't
pamphlet.
recorded. Yeah, a pamphlet. It was like yeah, and I was like, oh my God. And he's just like, yeah, you're probably like never gonna walk again. And I was like, what? Are you serious? Like, and at that point
Was your
too
mom with you when you
yeah,
got the
yeah, yeah.
news? Oh my gosh.
Well, and at that point, like, you're still like, I was on, whatever they're giving you in the
Mhm.
hospital, but you're still in pain and you're also, like, shock and,
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's so acute, you're just like, "I don't even know," like, and so it just so happened, like, I think it was, like, either later that day or the next day, I was on Instagram, and I realized I followed somebody like, I was just scrolling, and I saw an adaptive athlete riding a Bowhead bike at Winter Park Resort, and I had already been following him on Instagram, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna be fine." I was like, "He's out there at a bike park." I was like, "Okay." I was like, I know I just got that, like, literally just got this bad news, but there is a future for me.
Yeah.
And so it was just like something clicked as soon as I saw that.
Wow.
And I just was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I was like, I don't know what any other part of my life is going to look like,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to be back on a bike. I'm going to be back at a bike park. And so then people would come to my hospital room and I just show them the videos on Instagram. I'm like, that's
Don't
going to be
worry.
me.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, what? They're like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm fine because I'm going to be doing this in like a few
They're
months.
like, what kind of drugs? Give them. Like,
Right?
what are you
Yeah.
on? I mean, that's amazing. Because I truly feel, I've thought about these things a lot because I just think about things that can happen. And
Yeah.
I did a little tiny bit of work with high fives years ago. And it's always being an athlete who does these things, like I said, not like super extreme, but even just skiing, snowboarding, now snowmobiling, mountain biking, and just getting hurt and spinal cord injuries have always been something that has scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And even being around people and seeing all of how far these adaptive sports have come, it's so amazing to see. But I just think that I would have, I don't know how I could handle it, right? And so when there are people like you in these stories where it doesn't, obviously, you've had plenty of hardship, I'm sure, and every day is not just super easy, but coming to terms in the hospital and already being like, I'm gonna do this and kind of not going instantly into the darkest of dark
Yeah.
places is amazing to me, of like mental strength that not everybody has.
Yeah.
And like I said, I that doesn't discount, like, you were like, okay, yeah, this is easy, this is what I'm gonna go do now. Well, like, that everything's fine and dandy, but just incredible to hear that immediately your goal was to get back on a bike
Yeah.
before even really kind of knowing what life would be like,
Yeah.
right?
I think it really helped me. I mean, like, it's like present me thanks past me because it's like that, like being able to accept right away. Like,
Mhm.
I heard what the doctor said. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, no walking. Like, and I was just like, I still want to live a full life. And that allowed me throughout my recovery to like kind of move through the more challenging things because I'm like, whatever.
Mhm.
Like, I'm just gonna get a bike.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that will solve all of my problems. Maybe
Yeah.
not like solve them, but like that was the most important thing for me. It's like,
You still have your outlet.
yeah, I
And
still have my
something that you
outlet
care so much
community.
about. You didn't lose this thing that you had just really started building.
Yeah.
And that just being able to have something still when your life has been turned upside down,
Yeah.
I'm sure meant so much
It
to
meant a
keeping you.
lot. Yeah.
And so, how did, coming out of the hospital and kind of changing your life
Mhm.
around, um, how did you get into biking, and like when did it start? Was it like really immediately after? Were you doing outreach, or were the sponsors and people you had behind you instantly reaching out like, let's get you back out there? Tell us a little bit about how you actually made that transition.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny because I was like in the hospital, like meeting on Zoom and like Google Meets with like
In the hospital.
adaptive mountain bikers and like at rehab. And I went to Craig Hospital, which is in Denver. It's in Inglewood, which is like basically Denver. And it is like an amazing facility. It's got like the best adaptive recreation program, I think, out of all of the rehab hospitals like in the country. And I went there for that reason, like because I was like, they've got equipment.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. Everybody looks so happy in the pamphlets and brochures. I was like, that's my place, And so as soon as I got there, I was like, I'm a mountain biker and I want a mountain bike. Like that's my goal.
Well,
Like,
and a place like that has so many people that go there, like,
yeah.
they're already supportive around that lifestyle,
Mhm.
right? Not trying to talk you into, well, let's first not do anything extreme and
Yeah.
just do this. They're like supportive of
Very
that.
supportive. Yeah. And I got in touch with Roy Tuscany from High Fives.
Mhm.
So that was like when I was still in the initial hospital, So it's like making all these like little connections. And then I got a call one day. I put in a quote for a Bowhead bike because I just wanted to see how much it was to
Yeah.
see if like my GoFundMe money would cover it. And I put in a quote and I got a call from Bowhead one day and they're like, "Hey, we have your bike specs. We're just calling to confirm things." I was like, "Oh, no, no, like
I was just
I'm not ready to buy it." I was like, I was just doing. They're like, "Oh no, I think somebody's paying for it." I was like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "That was a weird call, you know?" And then in the
yeah.
back of my head, I was like, "They must be so confused." Like, and then about a couple days later, my athlete manager, Bryce Sherbosh from he was at Pro Izumi at that point, texted me. He's like, "I can't keep it in any longer. Like, we're getting you a bike at Pro Izumi."
My
And
God, I could cry.
it was, I mean, it was incredible. I was like, "Are you serious?" Like, so the bike was being built while I was still in the hospital, and I got my bike 3 months after my accident. So
Wow.
I'd only been like in my new home for like a couple weeks.
Wow.
And I got to try a bike out in rehab too, but like my own bike.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible. And like to me that was such a special moment. And then that kind of marked like the next chapter because I was like, okay, I finally have a bike, you know, now it's like time to learn how to ride the bike.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that was like, I mean, I think about that like, you know, just about probably more than once a week, you know, just like
Wow.
how incredible that was and like how much having the goal of like being in community and biking and sport like changed my life, but then also having access to the equipment
Mhm.
at
Mhm.
like zero barrier to entry for me, you know, was
Huge.
huge.
Because
Yeah.
that is the thing too with the adaptive equipment is we already know how expensive these sports are without the like adaptability needed because every body I'm sure is even way more different every
Yeah.
injury, right? So it's there's way more going into building adaptive gear and equipment for people than even just going into the bike store bike shop and being like, oh, I want that one and is it
Yeah.
my size and making a couple adjustments, right? So that I think is just a barrier for people who maybe weren't super in the industry, maybe just did it a little bit recreationally on their
Yep.
own, right? How do they keep doing these things, you
Yeah.
know? And even just access to trails that
Mhm.
are meant for adapted athletes. And
Yeah.
so once you got out and you're riding your bike, you know, we're hopefully not going to get kicked out of this spot. We'll go as long as we can. So sorry guys if we get cut off a little bit. I want to talk to you so much more about many things, but where did you go to actually be able to like ride?
Yeah. So in my first ride in Denver was at Ruby Hill, which is like a bike park. And then just like rode around a little bit. And then it's just like it's a constant thing of having to figure out like, will my bike work for certain trails?
Yeah.
And so kind of just it's part of the game of being an adaptive mountain biker is like you got to figure out where you can ride.
Yeah.
And so a lot of like, I mean, fortunately, like I have kind of the skills and the know how in the industry to like reach out to people
Mhm.
and like know how to like talk about my bike and like what it is that I need as an athlete or like what are the barriers for me on trails. Um, but yeah, it's like I have to reach out to trail organizations and look at photos and watch YouTube videos. And so
Yeah.
that like started very early on. Um, and I would say like it's it's really hard when you're a beginner because you are a beginner. Like, you
Yeah.
don't have those skills to, like, you know, overcome some things. Like, think about even, like, mountain biking with technical climbing,
Mhm.
right? Like, you that's challenging, right? Like, you can get off your bike and do it, but, like, in the beginning, even just, like, lifting up your front wheel over, like, a little up, you know, step up or something, you're like, "Whoa, this is really hard." And then
Yeah.
over time, you can do it. And so, yeah, when you're a brand new adaptive mountain biker, it's like there's a lot of barriers to entry. It's like
Yeah.
the trails, you're like, "Oh, you need things to be, like, a little bit more
Mhm.
pristine," and, yeah, you're working on, like, your body positioning on your bike and balance and things that, like I mean, you do have to do as an upright mountain biker too, but I've found, like, now I'm almost 5 years out from my accident, and I can kinda get away most of the time with just watching a YouTube video, you know, and I'm like, "Okay, I can see from, like, the person's video, like, the width of their
Mm,
handlebars and,
mm.
like, assess," and then, like, I know enough about features and how to read trails now, like, on my bike that I'm like, "Okay, that section could be hard or this one," you know?
Yeah. A
So
whole new set of
whole
skills,
new
like,
set,
on
exactly.
and off the bike, like, just being able to, like you said, research the trails and whatnot.
Yeah.
When did you start racing? And in that time, have you seen a lot of changes in the industry as far as, like, even offering adaptive racing? I'm not sure how long, that's been on a lot of the dockets for some of these bigger races or anything.
Yeah, I started racing, I guess, like 2 years after my accident. But the 1-year anniversary of my accident, I went to go visit my best friend, Claire Smallwood in Fernie, BC.
From She Jumps?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Claire and I went to college together. We go like way, way back.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I went to go visit her and like celebrate my 1 year. And then there was also a huge adaptive downhill mountain bike race. It used to be called the Dunbar Series, and it was like gnarly,
Yeah.
like super gnarly downhill. And so I was like, okay, for my 1 year, I want to like go watch the races, be in the pit with everyone, and like be immersed like in the adaptive mountain biking community, and like obviously with my best friend, and like so like that kind of, I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then my first race was actually, I feel like it was SBT gravel.
Okay.
Yeah, so I raced gravel. The year of my accident, I was supposed to race with Ride for Racial Justice as at SBT.
Okay.
So that was like a redemption arc for me. And then I did RPI, Rebecca's Private
Oh,
Idaho.
fun.
Oh, that is like,
I was just thinking about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful there. And Rebecca is just amazing,
Yeah.
So that was my thing. And then it wasn't until last year that I did downhill.
Oh, okay. So you were racing gravel.
I was racing
Okay.
gravel because, I mean, to be really clear, I was like, I don't know if I want to race mountain bikes. Like,
Yeah.
I know what can happen to you, But it was always one of my goals to race Seattle Classic downhill.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, even before my accident,
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is the year. And actually, I wasn't going to race last year. I was just going to do like what I normally do, like activations and like meeting people. But High Fives reached out and they're like, do you want to ride on like Team High Fives? And I was like, okay, yeah, like obviously.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So last year was your first year downhill racing. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
I've done enduros
okay,
before, but I hadn't done downhill
got it.
specifically. Yeah.
And then what's your like kind of day to day look like in the mountain bike world of or I guess season by season, like
Mhm.
how many races are you kind of doing now or what are you doing in this space? I know you talked about you had been getting into advocacy, like you
Mhm.
just said, writing for justice. So are you still in some advocacy work? And yeah, what's it look like for you in this like career in the adaptive athlete space?
Yeah. So I think like I kind of think I have like two kind of like little tracks that I'm on. So I have like, as an athlete, I am working on, yeah, racing. I'm doing this year I'm doing downhill, enduro, and gravel.
Dang.
I'm like doing it all. The past couple years I've done like either just enduro or just gravel, and this year I'm like, we're doing it all.
So how many like races does that look like for can you even count those all like
Yeah, I think I'm doing not too
Okay.
many. I think maybe like 6
Okay.
races.
Okay.
Um 6 races altogether.
Oh
Is
yeah.
that the
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, we're wrapping up right now.
Yeah, yeah. And then I have my own organization called Dirtbound, which empowers para athletes and so para off-road cyclists. And so I spend a lot of my time like outside of my own personal like adventures, like helping and support other people. And so I'm like teaching people how to ride adaptive mountain bikes, hosting adaptive camps, little activations. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, I'm so sorry we have to cut this short. We
Yeah.
got a late start with getting all set up in here. So I would love to have you again for sure
Yeah.
sometime to catch up and talk more. It was great to kind of have that first like overview of things, but tell people where to find you, follow you if there's any, sponsor shout outs or anything like that you want to do. Feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram at Geodesic Dome. And then you can find my organization from there. So yeah, I'm so glad we got to chat.
Yes, me too. Everyone check the show notes to go give Annijke a follow. And sorry again if it feels like that wrapped up abruptly. These are tight spots in this booking here, but we will continue with her for sure. And thank you guys so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week.